Welcome everybody to Converting Desktop Payroll to QuickBooks Online Payroll. This is another QB Power Hour, and I'm very glad to have you joining us today. I hope everybody's doing well. Our agenda today is just real quick introductions about QB Power Hour and your hosts. We'll cover the CPE process, and this webinar is not ACE approved for advanced continuing education credits. We'll talk about some upcoming live events briefly, and then the bulk of our time today is going to be spent learning about the details for converting from QuickBooks Desktop Payroll to QuickBooks Online Payroll, as well as the proper setup after conversion. For those of you that haven't yet met me, my name is Michelle Long. I am a CPA from the Kansas City, Missouri area. Sunny Kansas City today. It's actually very nice here. I'm thrilled to say that I'm actually an international trainer for Intuit. Just got back from Portland, Seattle. Love doing the Firm of the Future events and seeing some people up there. If you want to check out any of my books, those are available on Amazon. And I encourage you to join Hector and I for these QB Power Hours, as well as on the Facebook group for QB Power Hour or the LinkedIn group. Those are great resources when you have additional questions. Hector's unable to join us live today. He's busy, and we'll have him on some other great QB Power Hours in the future. We also have Blaise joining us today. Blaise, you want to go ahead and say hi real quick?
Hey guys, my name is Blaise. I'm a product manager here at Intuit. So it's my job to help make it easy for folks to be able to move from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online and get their payroll set up fast.
Yes, fabulous. And Blaise is actually such an expert. He's going to be covering most of this for you today. So, Blaise, thank you very much for taking time out to do this. I know it's a busy schedule for you all, but thank you for being here. And I like your Firm of the Future t-shirt. There you go. All right. So, a little bit briefly about QB Power Hour. It is a webinar series normally every other Thursday. Our next one coming up, you won't want to miss it. It's on value pricing and new QBO engagements. And I believe we've got Mark Wickersham lined up for that one. It's going to be another good one, so make sure you mark your calendars and join us for that one. Normally, we cover things in QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, but as you can see from the next one, we also cover great practice management topics like value pricing as well. So make sure you register and join us for as many as you can. If you miss some, check them out in the QB Power Hour archives. The CPE process, you must be logged in today for 50 minutes minimum, so you have to be logged in live. During the webinar, Blaise will give you a CPE keyword. Write that CPE keyword down, and then at the very end of the webinar, towards the end of the hour, we'll give you a CPE poll question where you'll want to answer with that CPE keyword. Then you'll get your certificates emailed to you, but Hector's got a lot of family things going on right now. He's a new dad and another one on the way, so he's reaching number 4 on the kids. So he's really busy. So give him 3 to 6 weeks to allow him time to get all those CPE certificates emailed out to you. All right. Upcoming events. Oops, I forgot to update the dates here. There is another Intuit VCon coming up. I believe it's July 13th and 14th. You'll want to mark that on your schedules. They're covering a lot of QBO fundamental courses. They're also going to be covering the QBO basic certification. So make sure you put those down for July 13th and 14th. It is a free virtual conference. Then we'd love to have you join us in QuickBooks Connect in San Jose, California. I'm thrilled to say I'll be speaking there again this year. I think Hector will be. I'm really excited about some of the sessions that we've been working on putting together for you all. Great opportunity for live certification training, especially if you want to get advanced certified, and the main stage speakers can't be beat. I can't wait to see who they have in the lineup for us last year. I don't know how they're going to top Oprah. I mean, that was amazing. But hope to see you guys there in San Jose. It's well worth it to be there. Whoops. Okay, and we've got this slide at the beginning and at the end. This is in your handouts, which you can download from the PowerPoint or the GoToWebinar toolbar. You can download the PDF of the handouts. Here's some additional resource information for you, and I put this in towards the end of the webinar today as well, so you can get some additional details when you have additional questions. With that, Blaise, I'm going to go ahead and go into the screen sharing and pass this over to you and let you take control, and I'm going to turn my webcam off while you're presenting. So all you need to do now is accept control. There you go. We can see your screen, so take it away, Blaise.
All right, and because I'm presenting, I probably will also stop sharing my screen as well, just so you don't have to look at me. Instead, you can focus on the actual presentation. Let me turn off my cam. Okay, so my name is Blaise. I'm product manager here at Intuit, and my job is to make it easy for folks to move from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online. So I'm going to walk you through the entire process and give you a little advice and tips for what to do before you switch to QuickBooks Online, as well as what to check and do after you switch. The main thing, though, is I'm going to walk you through the entire process, the complete end-to-end experience that you as an accountant would go through to get one of your clients from the desktop to the online and set up with payroll. Now, I will caveat this by saying all of the additional features that we talk about, some additional things I'll be showing today, are for the U.S. market right now. I'll talk to the ones. There'll be some of the same screens as you'll see for the Canada, but primarily all the enhancements that we have going on right now are for the U.S. Canada's coming down the road. All right, so again, there we go. So this is me. This is my contact information in case you ever need to reach out to me. Please, this will be in your doc, so don't worry about copying this down. You have it. An important page that you should always bookmark and go to. This is the main resource page for migration. So if you have any questions about how to or want to see some videos, what comes over, what doesn't come over, and what you should or should not check out, etc., this is a page to go. This is an ever-evolving page. We're still working on it, and we will continue to work on it as we change the migration experience. All the changes will be reflected here. So we'll keep this as up-to-date as possible. So you always have the latest and greatest information here. Again, the URL is right up on top. Move-from-desktop-to-online, as well as some other good information to know down below. Again, all this will be in the deck. You can download afterwards. All right, so to that point, I'm going to jump right now and get into the demo. So what I'm going to do is actually start from the very beginning. So we'll say I'm an accountant. So I'm going to log into my QuickBooks Online account. Going to log into my accountant account. Yes, I have a lot of companies. I've been testing this for a while. And I have a new client that wants to come on over.
Hey Blaise,
So
we're not seeing your screen.
Oh,
we just see the demo slide.
Yep.
Yep, thanks. There we go. Now we see it. Add
Thanks,
client.
Woody.
That's what we're saying. You bet.
Thanks, Woody. I forgot to unmute myself, so he wasn't hearing me. Now we're good, Blaise. Go ahead.
All right, let me actually start from the beginning again. So I just logged into QuickBooks Online. There we go. Going into my accountant account. I see all my clients that I currently have. Lots of Brian Williams. I'm going to add a new client. So this is a client that wants to switch from the desktop to online. So to start off just here, yep, you can fill out your basic information. I'm going to do a little bit of a cheat here, and I'm going to do that. I want this to show up on the top of my list, so I'm just going to make it a number 1 first. I have display name as 1 migrate for right now. Again, you can fill this out whenever, but I just want to kind of show you the main process, so I'm just getting to the basic information they have to complete in order to get this to show when I migrate from desktop to online. I want floss with payroll here, so I do need to fill out this information. Okay, looks good. Looks good. That's saving. All right, and as soon as that's done saving and creating the client, which is right at the top of the list, I am going to go to desktop. Okay, so here's a company that I want to switch over. Looking at my employees, oh, I got 1 payroll that's due tomorrow, so I might as well just run that one right now. So I want to kind of wrap up my payroll within desktop. Okay, we're good. Everything is good. Now, there's one little thing I do want to show you about this company. This is something that you should check before you kind of migrate over. so with this company, unfortunately, they spelled the city wrong. This is actually a very, very common mistake that clients and customers will spell the city wrong. So Palo Alto should only have one L in Palo and one L in Alto. Instead, they put in a few extra. The zip code is correct, but the city name is wrong. This is completely fine for desktop, and desktop will allow it. QuickBooks Online will not allow it, unfortunately. But we're actually working on, we'll fix that on Mac. I'll show you what happens. So now I'm going to export my company to QuickBooks Online. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here. Now this company does have inventory, so this widget will pop up, and basically we're switching from average cost to first in, first out. If you have any questions as to the date that you should really be selecting, they recommend that you select the first day following your company's last tax filing period. Otherwise, you'll have to amend some forms. So let's just pick this one. So say I filed on the 31st. So then the first is my first day after my filing. So there we go. Okay, now which company? So this comes up, and that's the client I want to migrate into. So you pop up on the top of the list. Again, just a little bit of a cheat. I can change the client name afterwards, but it just makes it easier to go this way. Okay. Now, this says it takes 30 minutes. This process and time that it'll take will depend upon your internet connection, as well as how many other people are trying to switch companies from desktop to online at that same time. I can tell you right now, weekends, very light, very, very easy. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays tend to be the busiest days for people switching from desktop to online. Okay. So I will get an email when that's done, and it will show me a little message. I'm actually going to flip over to that email right now, just so you can see what it looks like. So when the migration is complete, I'll get an email that's like this. This has the company name, as well as let me know that the data has come over. I'll also include a summary report. And if the company, if the company has payroll data, you'll end up seeing this little line here, payroll used, yes. Okay. So again, this kind of highlights just basically what actually came over from the desktop to online, what the differences are, as well as telling me what to do for next steps along the way, if there's anything for me to go ahead and do. Okay, so the data is on its way over. Let's go back to QuickBooks Online. All right, so this is the client that was migrated into. And all the data already came over. So here's the home page. And now for payroll setup, this is where I'm going to the Employees tab. Okay, great. Everything looks good. Now, the way that I know everything is good is I can look at this last paid column. I know that I paid these people. In fact, I just paid this person, and that came over just fine. I paid these two yesterday, so that looks good. And Terry actually I fired back in December of 2014. So Terry's listed there, and Terry does have a bang by her, but she hasn't been paid since 2014, so I actually won't need to worry about her. And over here, I have these read-only yes, as well as this toggle for no. The no is in case the client was paying somebody outside the system and they wanted to bring them into the system, they could toggle this to yes and then complete all the payroll data for that employee. But for the most part, what you really care about seeing is you want to see dates here for when they were last paid, and you want to see some read-only yeses coming down. So this takes over, and any employee that was paid this year, you're going to have to complete setup for. Even if the person was fired the 1st of January, if they were paid this year, you're still going to have to do setup for them. All right, if I don't see yes here, then unfortunately the import did not process, and we have steps to resolve that later on. Let's go ahead and complete the payroll setup. All right, now the first thing I want you to note is, remember, the company address on desktop was incorrect, but here it was automatically corrected. So now there's only one L in Palo and one L in Alto, which is perfect. That's based off the zip code. So based upon having the correct zip code, we can correct the rest of the information. So make sure when you're migrating a file, please make sure to go back and make sure that the zip codes are all valid zip codes. Make sure they're right, because we'll use that to validate the city and state. Okay? So this 3 combination that has to be correct in QuickBooks Online. But most importantly is the zip code. Great, so the system corrected that for me. Now let's continue on. Oh, yes, I forgot. One of my employees has a custom pay type. So in desktop, I was able to make this pay type for this employee. It's called XYZ allowance. Now, desktop, as we know, is a fantastically powerful tool and allows for great flexibility. The problem is, it's a very powerful tool and allows for great flexibility. So sometimes your clients may not have actually set up things correctly. So in this case, they made this allowance and they have it set up with these various taxes. And maybe it's perfectly fine. In that case, you just map it exactly to what it should be. And look, everything matches and looks fantastic. If you have any questions about what pay type it really should be, there's this helpful link right here, which goes to this whole new page, which shows you very detailed, explains each of the pay types QuickBooks Online supports, as well as any taxable implications of those pay types. Okay, so this is in the positive case, but if they really mess things up and it's actually supposed to be something completely different, that's okay too. Let's do that. So they took out additional taxes that they weren't supposed to, and that's all right. We'll still accept whatever they did in desktop, as that's what they did in desktop. We'll correct it going forward. So I'm going to save that and continue. By the way, there is this helpful chat down here. In case you ever need assistance, just click on this chat box, and that'll be connected to one of our expert care agents who will be able to help you out through the process. Okay, perfect. So now this page you'll probably rarely ever see. This page simply means that there's a difference in how much Social Security Medicare withholdings that QuickBooks Online calculates should be withheld. Again, for that last pay type, I just changed it. So this is exactly what I'm expecting to see. And your clients, you can actually download and print this report so you can see exactly how much, there we go. One second. There we go. You can see for which employee, the amount that was over or under withheld, how much was withheld, the correct amount, and what we're saying this employee's taxable wages are. So this is great information to have in file. If this is a large enough difference, you may actually need to go back and have the client refile some forms, but you do the 941s, but again, you should probably rarely ever see this page. But in case they did screw up, know that we got your back and we got you covered. All right, continuing on. So for each of the employees, all their payroll data has automatically come over. So everything's been imported over from the desktop to online. This works a little over 80% of the time. So for 80% of the people that migrate with payroll data, we're able to pull over their information. Again, in a little bit, I'll go over when it doesn't work and how to actually help make sure that it does work. And what to do if it doesn't work. Okay? If you wish to drill down into any of these employees, you can. And you can see all of their W-2 information as well as what's going on. All right, for now, we'll continue on. For the rest of the setup flow, again, all this information comes over. I have not entered anything. If your client does have workers' comp, you will have to reset up workers' comp again online. If you're unsure or don't feel like answering that question, you can just skip it. All this information comes over as well. Again, all this information is coming over directly from desktop. I have not re-entered anything. Should note, when I started this project, all this had to be re-entered. All right, the next thing is e-filing. So there are two main different ways of e-filing. Desktop uses one, and online uses a different one. So unfortunately, you will have to set this up again. For right now, though, just to complete the process, I'm going to say I'm going to do it manually for now. I can set this up later on. This way, I can get to running payroll fast, and then I can go take care of the other things that take a little bit longer to set up. So to also be note, if it's getting about to be time to file, you might want to hold off switching from desktop to online just yet. Take care of everything first in desktop, and then you can go ahead and switch on over. All right. So now we're going to look at how much money as a company has paid out. So this is just by pay dates. Again, all this information should come on over for you. In desktop, these are the payroll summary reports, and this is the payroll summary report in the end by date. So that's going to go ahead and process. All right. So now that's done. So I'm actually going to run a quick payroll now. This kind of helps reset the system, kind of get everything back to a good state. This payroll run you can delete right afterwards. It doesn't matter. Direct deposit information does not come over, so all these will be paid by paper checks for now. All right, just going to put that in. Looks good. All right, put in some check numbers. Again, direct deposit information did not come over. Tax filing payments also do not come over at this time, so you will have to re-enter all your prior tax payment history for the year. For now, I'm going to do that later. So this screen flips back. This is the view that you want in the end. From here, I can go back to my paycheck list. I can see the checks that I just created. I can delete those. Perfect. All right, so now I'm back to my Employees tab. And from here, I can complete the rest of payroll setup if I wish to. From going in, and setting up my direct deposit, as well as my e-filing. Okay, so that was the entire migration experience, including payroll setup and even running a basic payroll. When I first started this project, that would have taken about 4 to 5 hours just to be able to go run through and take care of the active and inactive employees. Oh, I should note that there, my inactive employee, still with an error message that I can totally ignore, is Terry, still hanging out there. But all my active employees are set up. Now, if I had terminated any of these employees, this is when, now that the payroll setup, I should go in and actually take care of that employee's status and switch them over to a terminated state. Okay, I'm going to cancel out of this for now and flip back to my presentation. Okay.
So Blaise, do you have time for a question?
Absolutely.
So somebody says in the employee's profile where you set different pay rates, is there a way to remove them or change them when they're no longer in use? So an old pay rate that you're not using any longer, is there a way to remove them or change them?
The old pay rates, you can delete the old pay rates. Honestly, my preferred methods, which I'll go into a little bit, is try to clean up everything in desktop first before you migrate over.
Okay, yeah, and you're getting ready to cover all that, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm about ready to go right there.
Do you think you could go ahead and flip to the CPE keyword real quick and then cover that information?
Next slide.
Very good.
So, the CPE keyword is Marshmallow.
Marshmallow, and tell us why I chose Marshmallow for the keyword today.
So this Marshmallow actually has it's close to my heart, as I actually still have a little side business going, which I manage on occasion, creating marshmallows. So these last bottom few marshmallows are actually different marshmallows that I've created. So a blood orange marshmallow.
Cool.
This is a green tea marshmallow from matcha, and this is a vanilla marshmallow rolled in Ghirardelli dark chocolate, a mix of the 100% and 83%, and then rolled in graham crackers. This is my s'more marshmallow, which is quite phenomenal.
Oh my goodness. Now you're making me hungry. So Blaise, if you ever have extra marshmallows, send them my way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Gloria Ann says, I want some. And Tiffany says, Chef, what? I want those marshmallows. So you might have to give us your business. Do you guys have a website, or are you not doing it that much?
I do have a website. I'm really not focused on it right now. Honestly, I'm kind of focusing more on migration, payroll migration, than I am on making marshmallows. But you have my email, so you can email me directly, and we can talk.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Blaise. So everybody write down Marshmallow. And I did hear that Marshmallow is the new, there's gourmet marshmallows as opposed to gourmet cupcakes now. So you are right on the ball with the trends in the marketplace. All right. So everybody write down that CPE keyword Marshmallow. And seriously, if you have extras, send them my way. All right. Marshmallow. Write that down one more time. All right, Blaise, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to do a quick little review of some words that I may accidentally be throwing out there, and just so you know the difference of what's going on. Within Intuit, we have a lot of different payroll names and payroll offerings. So I may be saying the word DIY a lot for do-it-yourself, or DIFM, do it for me, sometimes known as FSP, full service payroll, as well as QBOA for accountant. QBDT, I may throw out there as in for QuickBooks Desktop, and I apologize if I do that, but these are the acronyms that have been ingrained over the last several years here as to what we use. But in case you ever want to know or hear the acronyms, here's the acronym, here's what they actually stand for, and a little description as to what they are. As for payroll offerings, the main things to know, we have two major types. There's the Intuit standalone offerings, and then there's ones that are integrated within QuickBooks. So the standalone offerings, initially known as more IOP for Intuit Online Payroll, are completely separate and detached from QuickBooks. You can export the information to QuickBooks, but it's really separate. So the reason why you might want to use one that's standalone is due to the lack of access control within QuickBooks Online. So unfortunately, within QuickBooks Online, you're not allowed to turn off integrated payroll for your clients to see. So if you really don't want your clients to access payroll, then the best thing to do would be to just migrate the basic accounting data from desktop to online, and then keep payroll separate by using one of the standalone offerings. Now, if you're okay with clients getting in, or if you're using one of our full-service payroll offerings and okay with them using it, then our integrated solutions are perfect for you. In this case, the integrated solutions, which is exactly what I showed you the setup for, are accessible from the Employees tab, and everything is baked right in. So this is the exact last page that we saw. So everything is right there. All right, so then, again, standalone, Intuit Online Payroll, integrated, QuickBooks Payroll. All right. So, getting down to a little bit more details. This is where things get a little bit hairy here. I do want you guys to realize that there's differences between the QuickBooks Desktop product and the QuickBooks Online product. All these are different items. Here, let me cut to another slide, which will help you out a little bit. So again, I talked about the validation. Desktop allows for whatever they want. Online requires everything to be completely exact. How they calculate federal taxes is a little bit different. So some of the actual calculations, you might notice they're a little bit different than they used to be in desktop. The exemptions, key thing to note, desktop, you can be exempt from Social Security or Medicare. In online, you either have to pay them both or you're exempt from both of them. You cannot be exempt just for one. The local taxes are supported also a bit different. Local taxes online supported much more granularly, such as especially for Pennsylvania, you can set up local taxes for each individual PSD code. So please make sure if you know your client has local taxes, go in after you've done setup, click on each of the employees to make sure their work locations are correct and that all of their local taxes are set up correctly. I already talked to you about e-filing. And then global payroll support, I do have to mention online doesn't really support Puerto Rico. I mention that only because every week somebody from Puerto Rico tries to switch over to online. Besides that, there are some feature description. The access control again we talked about. Payroll corrections, do them in desktop first before you come on over. It's much easier to do in desktop. Online, we're expanding out how you can do payroll corrections, but again, desktop is much, much easier. As for features, here's a link out to the apps page. There are some great apps to use to take care of anything that the online tool doesn't currently cover. So now again, what does come over? The year-to-date summary level payroll data does come over for most people. It's over 80% of the time the data will come over. The paycheck details for all past paychecks are still accessible under the Transactions tab and then clicking on Expenses. They are just not within the payroll section. So it's going to be a little bit harder to view and a little bit different, but they are still there. As for the year-to-date summary level stuff, basically what it does is the system takes all the individual paychecks and boils them down to a single paycheck per employee. So that's going to be the year-to-date summary. All of the base company information, employee information, all the federal EIN, etc., all that, they come over just fine. So you saw that coming on over. As long as the data is valid, it'll come on over. Again, what does not currently come over, but we are still working on all these, are tax payment history. So please, for the year, you're going to have to re-enter that. E-filing steps will have to be redone. Direct deposit information will have to be re-entered for each of the employees again. Workers' comp will have to be reset up. And then local taxes, check them out and try to make sure that they're set up correctly as well. Again, these are all things that we are working on, but for right now, unfortunately, you're going to have to re-enter them. But at least you get the majority of stuff does come over just fine. So why do things tend to fail? So what about that 20% of the times that things don't come over? These are the biggest reasons why. So a lot of times it's the payroll data just doesn't really quite make sense. From deductions that are more than 100% to just negative paycheck values as a whole. Now, little key in about the negative net pay is if you do see your client with a zero paycheck, so like a paycheck zeroed out, make sure it's actually a true zero amount. In some cases, it's actually a slight negative number, in which case the system will not get. Very, very minor point, happens infrequently, but it might happen on occasion. So again, you're going to be trying to import. If it doesn't process, you're going to go back and start doing some error checking. Postal codes. Invalid postal codes will fail the migration to payroll imports. Please make sure they're correct. Please make sure there are no duplicate Social Security or names. Also in desktop, should note, desktop allows for ITINs. So an ITIN is an individual tax ID number. ITIN means that you can receive money, but does not necessarily mean that you as an employee can actually have a job. So you need a Social Security number in there. QBOP only accepts Social Security numbers for employees. Odd or unique custom pay frequencies that are not available in QBOP also will fail. And one of the final ones, which always kind of gets me, is please make sure that employees are hired before they are fired. If there's a termination date before a hire date, before a hire date, then it will fail. So please hire employees first, and then you can fire them. So in basics, just review the company address, especially the zip code. Make sure that's correct. Make sure that all the addresses, especially the zip codes for the employees that are paid this year, are right. And even if they're not, like, honestly, in the end, make sure at least it's just a valid zip code is the main thing. You want to correct it later on, that's totally fine. But just make sure the zip code that's there is a valid zip code for that general area for that employee. Make sure there's no duplicates. Make sure everything kind of looks fine. Make sure, especially for the employees that were paid this year, make sure that they were hired first and then fired, if they were fired at all. And again, do your payroll corrections. Take care of everything in desktop. Clean the house in desktop before you move online. It can be painful. I understand. I recently moved. Cleaning the apartment first and getting rid of all the junk hurts, but do it. All right, again, this is really what you want to see. You want to see these yeses here, and you want to see the last pay date. This is a successful payroll migration. This is one that failed. There's missing dates, or there's these radio buttons with the yes by them. This is where we think the employee was paid this year, but we're not sure. So again, this is a failed experience. This is a good experience. So the question is if it kind of came over, but it ended up failing, then what do you do? And basically, you know, you got up to 60 days for the clients to go back and recheck it out and see what's going on and fix anything in desktop and then try again. I highly do recommend you try again. And just check things out, and if things look good, just do it again. It could just be a few minutes later. When we're switching to the cloud, obviously we have to deal and go over the internet. At various times, there can be a bad connectivity between the computer that the client has their desktop on to the internet service provider, from that service provider to us. There's always spots along the way that if we end up losing a little bit of data to some data integrity loss, then the import will fail because we want to make sure that we stay secure. So again, if everything looks good, if you check it out, and things seem to be okay, just try it again and see what happens. All right, so now the question comes next. Well, how do I know what to switch to? What if I don't want to bring over payroll? In summary, if you have a QuickBooks Desktop file with payroll, so a client that has QuickBooks Desktop that has payroll enabled, and you want integrated payroll, then do the exact setup that I showed you. Export to QuickBooks Online and set up payroll. If you're concerned about that client and you don't want that client to have access to the payroll data, then you're going to actually want to turn off payroll and then export to QuickBooks Online. And I'll show you the next couple pages about how to turn off payroll. And if they're on a desktop without payroll, so maybe they're using desktop on Mac, then just migrate them to QuickBooks Online and set up your payroll in your preferred solution. If you are going to a full service payroll solution, you will have to call Care to help switch you over to there, and they'll handle the rest of the payroll setup process. To get into a little bit more details, and what I will not go over, is this a bit of an eye chart of a slide that takes you more step by step as to what you have, what you want, and where you want to go to, and how best to go to it, sorry. Again, this will all be in the deck. No need to copy this down and really talk about it here. But what I do want to make sure to cover is how to turn off payroll. So first off, just back up the company. This is for your desktop file. Just back it up just in case. Nothing should go wrong, but just in case something does go wrong, back it up. After that, easiest way to do it, of which I know of 3 ways off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more. The absolute easiest way is to go to Edit and then click on Preferences. Then click on Payroll and Employees. Then go to the Company Preference tab. Click No Payroll. And then click OK. That'll bring up a pop-up. Just click OK, and that's fine. And at this point, payroll is turned off, and you can export to QuickBooks Online without bringing over the payroll data. After that, if you want to turn payroll back on because you want to keep running payroll in parallel on desktop or for whatever other reason, that's totally fine. Just reverse the flow. So Edit, Preferences, Payroll Employees, Company Preferences, Full Payroll, OK. All right, so again, after you migrate, make sure everything was good. If not, you can retry. Do all your last form filings in desktop. Again, since just a summary level payroll comes over, you should file correct 941, you should probably do it in desktop. If you do it right after you file, that also provides you plenty of time to get your e-filing set up again in QuickBooks Online for the clients. Again, I ran a test payroll and then delete it. I like to do that just to kind of get everything ready and kind of clean everything out and kind of even testing the check printing online compared to how it was set up. And then, again, terminate inactive employees. Of course, also, if you're migrating your full file, you also would have wanted to compare your P&L, your profits and loss, as well as your balance sheet reports between desktop and online to make sure they're OK. And once again, I do have this in here as well. For setting up your payroll, click on the gear, direct deposit, e-filing, and then for recording tax payments, taxes, payroll taxes, and your prior tax history. Again, this would be if you have the integrated solution. Okay. Now, if things still failed, you tried, and you tried again, and things still are not looking good, I'm going to give you this secret slide. This is only in the case of failures and if you're really hitting a headway with your clients. Please just email gbo_payroll@intuit.com. Again, so you have a QuickBooks desktop file with payroll. You're trying to get to an integrated payroll solution, and it's not coming over properly. And you've done everything you can in desktop, everything is good. Email us, let us know. Give us your information, and we'll reach out to you. We'll go ahead and take that QuickBooks file, and we'll analyze it and let you know what's going on as to why the payroll import is failing, and what you can possibly do to correct it. Okay? The actual turnaround time will depend upon, obviously, the number of files we get and when we get them, holiday, etc. So I am not going to say exactly when we'll be able to get back in touch with you. Within 5 business days, we'll let you know for sure as to what our status is, and then we'll keep you updated from there. Okay?
But as a reminder, like Blaise said, make sure that you followed everything that he suggested in this webinar. Make sure you tried it once. Make sure you've done the cleanup in desktop like he suggested prior. Make sure you've gone through all the troubleshooting steps provided in this webinar. Clean it up in desktop and try it twice, because the first time it may fail. Go ahead and try it again. So make sure you've done everything you can before you email them at this email address. We don't want them to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much for that. I mean, to be perfectly blunt, if you get completely overwhelmed, we will have to turn off the service. So please make sure you really do your due diligence before escalating on up for us to help you out. But we are here to definitely help out with those tough cases. And then lastly, once again, just to make sure you got it, don't forget the keyword.
No, Blaise, you're not supposed to do that. Get rid of it quick. Go away. Thank you. We only show it once. You're not supposed to show it again. That's okay.
Oh, sorry.
Oops. Oopsie. You guys didn't see that. You had your eyes closed, right? Yep. No worries. That's okay. Hey, I messed up one time, and instead of giving him the CPE keyword, I launched the poll.
Whoops.
So it's no problem. So you want to go ahead and mention this resource center to him again?
Yeah, so once again, this is the main resource center for any questions you have about migration and where to get the absolute latest information as to what comes over, what doesn't come over, how it works, the ins and outs, and any other questions you could possibly have about migration. This is your main URL that you want to go to, so just go to this URL, and this is the page you're going to see. You can also Google it. It's starting to come up quite nicely. And then some other additional resources, which actually are kind of linked to from within here, just so you kind of know what's going on. Obviously, this one is specific for you guys.
And then, Blaise, I had a question I wanted you to clarify and call out to make sure people missed. And then to all the Intuit employees who are helping answer questions, thank you all. If you want to flag any of them that you think Blaise should answer verbally, if you could just go in there and right-click in the flag and flag them for us, we'll sort them and we can answer those verbally. But one thing, Blaise, I wanted to make sure that people realize, when people are in QuickBooks Online, they can see payroll, right? When it's the QBOP, QuickBooks Online Payroll, they can see payroll details. But there is a trick if you don't want any other employees or any of the workers with access to QuickBooks to see the payroll detail. Which one is it, and how do they need to set it up to restrict access so people can't see that? Can you elaborate on that?
So to actually be able to run payroll, just want to clarify, to be able to run payroll?
Isn't it Intuit Online Payroll that keeps the
Correct.
details out of QuickBooks Online and send the summary data over?
Correct. So if you're using Intuit Online Payroll, that's then going to be completely separate from the integrated payroll solution. So in that case, that's what you want to use for any time you have access control concerns with your clients. If you want to really make sure that they don't screw up payroll, basically, and are able to stay away from that, as well as keep it more hidden from them. You'll be using the separate Intuit Online Payroll service and then exporting down.
Yes, and I think, a lot of people I hear will ask that because of the user permissions. They want payroll separate from QuickBooks Online so people can't see it and stuff. And so that was always a good one. Okay, very good. All right, then let's see. Are there any questions that you all think we should be answering here? What is the status of enhanced payroll for accountants with desktop? I don't know that there's any change in that. I'm not sure what they're looking for the status there. Okay. All right. But again, these were great resources that you've provided for us. I think it's fabulous. And I really do appreciate you being here. And we do have time for some of these questions here. So somebody says, Michelle, please repeat that. Is that using a different part of the payroll service? So let's say that you've got a company and they have 3 users. They got a salesperson in there, and maybe they have somebody who's doing accounts payable, and then the owner of the company. And they don't want the salesperson and the AP person to have access or to see the details for payroll. So what you can do is you can set it up with Intuit Online Payroll, send the summary results over into QuickBooks so that the payroll details are not available except to those people that have access to payroll. Is that correct, Blaise? Did I say it right?
Correct. So they would log into the separate tool and see the payroll details. Correct.
So you'll still be getting the summary totals, so your general ledger and your financial statements are going to be accurate, but the payroll details are elsewhere, restricting access to it. So I think that's very helpful. And somebody's asking about the Q&A in the recording. You can't see these questions in the recording. When you get all done, if you click on File on the GoToWebinar toolbar, if you click on File, I believe it's Save Chat Log, or it might say Save Questions Log, but save the chat or the questions log. You'll be able to save those as well. Okay, other things that we should cover in here. Online payroll does not do taxes in form. You want to talk about the difference? Just summarize again the difference between QuickBooks Online Payroll and Intuit Online Payroll. Can you just repeat that again?
Sure. Let me actually go to a slide there to. Sorry. Give me 1 second. Let's make it a little bit easier.
There we go. Thank you.
There we go. That's better. Okay. By the way, if you have further questions about Intuit Online Payroll versus the integrated QuickBooks Payroll, there's these links down here, which would take you to each of the specific sites that's specific to those payroll offerings. So everything is right included, so you can find out more information later on that drills down to this whole chart, which then completely expands out so you can see exactly what it is that they do offer, and as well as between just the do-it-yourself versus where we do it for you, the full-service payroll offerings. So the full service, so we run payroll, we take care of handling the taxes versus the basics.
And
okay.
You know, Blaise, I think it's great that Intuit is offering us these different choices here because, you know, when you look at the accounting professionals, about 1/3 of them want to do payroll and they want to do a lot of it. And 1/3 of them don't, you know, they may want to collaborate with their clients where the client runs the payroll, but the accountant does the quarterly filings and the annual reports and things like that. And then some of them want nothing to do with it at all, and that's where full service payroll is an option. So there's really an option regardless of how involved you want to be with payroll or how involved your client wants to be. There's an option for you depending on your needs. So that's why I love the different options available here so people can choose.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, for the slight incremental cost, more and more accountants are leaning over to using one of the full service payroll offerings, just that they don't have to worry about the payroll and can focus more on the clients and actually helping a client grow their business without worrying about the tax filing component of it and all the other, that side of the payroll side of it.
And Blaise, can you please explain the difference in migrating to full service payroll instead of enhanced payroll?
Sure. So enhanced payroll in the end is the complete setup flow that I showed you, and you can actually go ahead and migrate and switch to enhanced, and you can go ahead and do the payroll setup, but do not run a payroll. So do everything except that last step that I showed you where actually was running the payroll. Don't do that. Instead, migrate, get everything over, and then call care and tell them that you want to go switch to full service payroll. And the full service payroll people will take it from there, and they'll actually complete the rest of the payroll setup process. So in basics, enhanced, migrate over, do the complete payroll setup, run that little test payroll, just kind of clear everything out, get everything checked up and going. Full service payroll, migrate it on over, and then you can, at that point, honestly, you just pick up the phone and just call Karen and say, hey, I just migrated, everything's there. Now would you please take it from here and kind of get the rest of my payroll set up?
Very cool. Thank you. Okay, I tell you what, I am going to, it's about 5 till, so I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll question for the CPE keyword. So those of you that need continuing professional education credit, please go ahead and answer that. While you're doing that, I'd like to remind you, again, July 14th, I'm sorry, I think it is July 14th. Let me double check that. Yeah, July 14th, Mark Wickersham is going to be joining Hector and I for the QB Power Hour talking about value pricing. And Mark is really great, and he's got a really cool tool, so hopefully you can join us for that. Also, reminder that VCon is July 13th and 14th. If you go to QuickBooksVCon.com, they're going to cover QBO fundamentals, QBO certification on day 2, and some various other topics. So, especially if you're new to the world of being a pro advisor and you're new to the world of QuickBooks Online, check out that VCon. Go ahead and answer this CPE poll question. And also, for those of you that do work a lot with payroll, please send me the questions and problems that you might have on things that you'd like to fix or correct, or mistakes, correcting mistakes with payroll. So once you've done the conversion, now you've got some problems or mistakes, and how do you clean it up? And I'm hopeful to work with Blaise and the Intuit people for a common mistakes in payroll and how to fix those things for a future QB Power Hour webinar. So if you've got specific things, post those in send Hector and I your feedback and questions either through the QB Power Hour email, through the survey results, or just put them out in that Facebook group and we'll find those things, okay? Okay, let's see if there's other questions. Blaise, is there anything in particular that you wanted to answer? I'm trying to look through some of them as well.
Let me check it out there.
Are there limitations for standalone payroll as to the number of employees? Just in general, are there the number of employees, what are the limitations for the different ones? I've heard up to 50 employees, is that correct?
Yeah, so standalone payroll right now, it still does work fine for up to 50. And for integrated payroll as well, if you want to, that's fine. The more employees that you have, it is going to be a longer load time for the page currently because it has to load more data for each of them. As to that note, quick little trick. So this is not in PowerPoint anywhere, but a little bit of trick to know. If you have a whole bunch of employees, like on average, most people that migrate, they only have 5 active employees, but they got 50 inactive employees. So if you take those inactive employees and put them onto a different pay schedule, like one that you actually don't use, that actually will help speed up the process for running payroll for those 5 employees that your client does use. So little insider trick, again, not a presentation. We'll neither confirm nor deny it afterwards, but any inactive employees, put them onto a separate pay schedule, and it'll help speed up the process for those that are on the actual pay schedule that you do use. But yes, so as your point, 50 is actually fine. If you start going over 150, we'll actually recommend other solutions for you, but that's QuickBooks Online. It would not be the right one for you right now. Full service, they have a bit more of a maximum simply because we're running payroll for you, so it's going to be a little bit of a difference, so we'll take care of if you have additional employees there. But online for you, yes, in general, 50, and then more than that, switch over to full service. If you got a few hundred, we'll talk.
All right, very good. So really the limitation is on the number of active employees versus inactive employees. Would that be a correct statement?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead, Blaise, and take the presenter mode back over so people can see my screen. I wanted to remind you all, and then Blaise, if you want to look through some of the questions, and for those people who can still stay a little bit longer, we can stay and try to answer a couple more questions. But I wanted to remind you about these additional resources. Under intuitaccountants.com/the-guides, you should see the link there on this slide and in the handouts that I gave you. This is where Intuit has been updating this, and there's lots of additional information in there about converting from desktop to online, not just surrounding payroll, but also additional information on apps, an import summary report. It talks about the QBO desktop app that's available for Windows and Mac, where to find training materials, and more. Then also, if you're not a Pro Advisor yet, it is free for QuickBooks Online. You can join the free version of the Pro Advisor program and get access to QuickBooks Online Accountants for you and your own subscription for free. The training, the certification, the support is all free. Now, if you want access to the desktop trainings and certification and support, those are a paid version. There's 3 options for joining the Pro Advisor program now. There's the link. You can check that out. Also then, as a reminder, when you need or when you have questions for your peers or want to network with other accountants and bookkeepers, go out to that Facebook group for QB Power Hour, or there's the tiny URL for the LinkedIn group. We'd love to have you joining us for those things out there as well. Now, Blaise, do you see some other questions that you'd like to answer?
Yeah, just a quick clarification again. For the Intuit Online Payroll, that is the standalone product, that is a completely separate product. So basically, you're going to have a separate package, separate cost, separate associated with everything, compared to the QuickBooks Online Payroll, which can be completely integrated in to your solution. So those are completely different. Think of them as think of Intuit Online Payroll as being an entirely separate product and division compared to QuickBooks Online, and as well as QuickBooks Online Payroll. So just note those are completely separate billing processes.
Okay, and Joan had a question. Can the integrated payroll, which I assume is QuickBooks Online Payroll, can that be converted to IOP4A, the Intuit Online Payroll for accountants?
Yeah, well, if you call CARE, they can basically detach the payroll, so they can take it off, take the integrated solution, pull it out, and have it then be the Intuit Online Payroll. They will have to redo the setup for it, but it can be done.
Okay. And then another thing that I want to remind people, because this wasn't true in the past, we now do get 50% discount on the QuickBooks Online subscription and payroll, including full service payroll.
Correct.
For the QuickBooks Online Payroll, the full service payroll, that is a 50% discount for accountants and bookkeepers who sign up for wholesale pricing or the wholesale billing. So for example, if you sign a client up with QBO Plus and payroll, I think the retail's like $140, and I think we get it for like $70. And you can sign up for the full service payroll to get that as a discount. Isn't that correct, Blaise?
Correct.
Okay. And then I'm going to ask you this, Blaise. You may not be quite ready for it. I know you mentioned job costing a little bit earlier. Can you at least give us a hint? Is that on the roadmap to be able to do the labor, the payroll job costing, or is that in the future we should keep using third-party apps or looking to third-party apps?
So I'm going to have to throw on my legal hat here and say, while we are actively working on improvements to the system, including job costing, progress invoicing, enhancing the reports, and enhancing access control, these are all things that we are currently underway. The timing as to when these will be released are still in the future. So until such time when they come out, please just continue to use the apps. But no, yes, they're near and dear to our hearts. Yes, we want to get them out. Yes, we want to work on them. So they will be coming, but for right now, apps.
Okay, all right, thank you. And do they like take you guys into a room and make you all memorize the legal disclaimer there? You did very well, Blaise. It must be a monthly test. Everybody has to recite the disclaimer so you're ready to go. All right, Kira says, you guys are awesome. Really appreciate your time and efforts to offer these webinars. Blaise, I agree. I think it was absolutely fabulous. And this information isn't really covered in detail elsewhere, so I'm really glad that you did this. Other questions or things that you want to point out, or is there anything else that we didn't get to talk about that we should cover?
Ooh. I'm looking through our list right now. Questions. I think we covered most everything. Sorry, I tend to talk fast, so that does tend to mean to cover a lot of content pretty quickly.
Well, I will ask you another one. Pro advisors, us, the pro advisors, we get QBO-A, QuickBooks Online Accountant, for free. We also get the subscription under your books for a QBO Plus subscription. Don't we also get full service payroll for our firm, for our employees, not to use for a client? But don't we also get that free for our firm?
So you did?
Uh-oh.
So
and now we don't?
So if you actually call, so initially we were flipping on for everybody. Let me go back and check in on that one. I believe if you still call in, you can go ahead and they can still flip you over. But yeah, so we had it turned on for everyone initially that they did, and then we actually got some complaints from accountants that that's not what they wanted. They really wanted to get more of the do-it-yourself, to kind of get more hands-on feel for payroll. So
gotcha.
Took that off. But if you still if you do want it, you know what, just let us know, and we can go ahead and dig in there and see what we can do.
But again, that would only be for your firm, not for your clients, not that you could give to a client or anything like that. It would be in your books for your firm. So if you don't have employees, it wouldn't work for you anyway. So very good. And then somebody made a request in here. Everyone needs to request the one ACH for all direct deposit checks for confidentiality. Please share. So Michael would like everybody to go into the gear and click on feedback and request one ACH for all direct deposit checks for confidentiality.
By the way, if you click on feedback, if there's one that looks close to what you're saying, it is far better for you to click on that one and to +1 it, to promote it, to say, yes, this is what I want, than it is for you to make an individual entry. Even if you think you're unique enough that, unless you're completely 100% truly unique, please +1 what's already there instead of creating a new one. We obviously get thousands of these all the time, so it's a matter of trying to curate the list and kind of go through it. And then, honestly, in the end, if you ever talk to CARE, make sure to make your requests known very specifically to CARE, because we also curate and go through every single CARE call. So you run text analytics, find out exactly what people are requesting and wanting changes to be made, new features, new functionality, etc. So we listen and actually do go deep into all the CARE calls. I actually have a whole nother presentation later today just looking at data from CARE calls and what people are requesting about. So we do listen to you.
And I think that's a great point, Blaise. And a lot of times I'll hear people say, well, I put in a request and I never even heard anything back. You're right. Intuit doesn't have time to reply to everybody. I mean, there's millions of people using QuickBooks, and a lot of people sending in requests for updates and things. They don't really reply to everyone, but they do, in fact, pay attention to that and look at that and read those, like Blaise just mentioned. One of the things I love, and this is why it's great when you go to these conferences like QuickBooks Connect or Scaling New Heights, when you go to these conferences or when you go to the road shows, like, we were just doing CERT Prep and Firm of the Future training in various cities, is it gives us the opportunity to talk to Intuit employees directly, so that we can tell Intuit product managers like Blaise or others who are there what we want, why we want it, and they can ask us questions to fully understand our needs, because they really do want to try to help us to make the product better. So that two-way discussion is really very valuable both for us and for the product managers. So if you go to these conferences or go to these live events, please make sure you take the time to talk to the Intuit employees and let them know, what you would like. Would you agree with that, Blaise?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm looking through here. I don't see anything else that we need to cover. What about you, Blaise? Anything you want to add?
Let me actually do a clarification.
Okay.
I just really kind of want to make sure if you're moving a client in the end and all right. If you currently have QBOP and want to do standalone, you will have to you're going to have to redo the setup. So it can be done, but you're going to have to redo the setup for it entirely, okay? You just want to make sure you kind of do some level setting understanding. It's not as easy as just kind of pulling things apart and saying, okay, now you're standalone. It is going to be a completely restart to kind of get it back to QBO plus the standalone payroll product. Again,
okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay. All right, and Brenda says, will this be covered soon since it wasn't covered today? Conversions including inventory and sales tax. Brenda, we discovered that payroll was a whole hour in itself, so you're right. We will do future webinars on conversion and talking about inventory and sales tax. So those of you that were looking for that today, we just had too much content to cover it in 1 hour, so we have to split these up. So thank you for asking about that. All right, well, Blaise and all the Intuit employees, we had 5, 6 people back there answering questions today. We had Micah and Woody and Matthew, Nancy, Hector was on in the background answering what he could, and so we appreciate the help of everybody helping us out today. Blaise, especially for all your time and expertise developing all the content and sharing your great information with us. We appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you on the next QB Power Hour. Bye, everybody.
Take care.